Good evening, friends. Welcome back to the session. So far we have seen understanding domain analytics, that is with respect to hospitality. So let me recall what we have discussed in the previous session. So first, we understood what are the applications of machine learning and artificial intelligence with respect to hospitality in analytics. And then we started understanding the proper procedure for project management methodology for any domain analytics that we need to follow, that is CRISP MLQ, which is having quality assurance. And later we come back to the understanding of the data, that is exploratory data analysis, which is also considered a part of data pre-processing. So before sending into the model, we just need to clean the model, clean the data, pre-process the data, and analyze the data, what data is all about. So then we started using our machine learning models. So we have regression model. So we have classification model. So we have clustering model. So far we have selected one of the models with clustering model, that is k-means clustering model. And we have seen in classification, we have seen KNN. And now today we consider a regression model, that is linear regression model. And then we'll understand the importance of linear regression model with respect to hospitality analytics. And then we'll try to understand that. After that, we'll just go with one more classification model, that is decision tree classification model. And then we'll try to understand that. And then we'll go with artificial intelligence or deep learning, how deep learning contributes hospitality analytics. Even deep learning, you have a regression analysis and classification analysis. So we'll just take one concept and then we'll try to understand algorithm, one of the algorithm, which is giving better when compared to the machine learning models. So we just try to understand today with respect to linear regression. In our previous example, previous algorithm model, we have used classification, that is KNN. So it is going to classify based on the marketing segment, even k-means also. So today we just understand regression model. So before getting into the linear regression model, so we'll understand what is regression. So regression is nothing but whenever you change a value with respect to X, and it can be of continuous value. So you will be seeing a change in the Y value. That is also with respect to continuous value. So you will be having a variable which we refer as dependent variable and independent variable. Okay, so we have one dependent variable and one independent variable. Now, under regression, when we start, so we have input as well as output. So these are the two variables. Okay, so these are the two variables. Now, when we say input variable, this is your independent variable. And output is dependent variable. Okay, so now in my domain, hospitality analytics, based on the bookings, we can just calculate ADR. We can just calculate what is revenue per room rent, average room rent, and you can also predict the price, and you can make a market segmentation. So there are several ways of understanding the data with the help of regression, classification model, clustering model. So we'll try to understand by taking two variables, what if in case we have these kind of bookings with the rate. So how it is going to affect our revenue. So when I take the variables, it is going to predict something. So it is going to always predict. Let's say example, I've taken two variables. Let it be dependent and independent variable. So we got values, that is whenever I change the values, you will be having these kind of linearity between the variables. Now I just need to take a new input and just need to predict what will be my output. Take a input and predict the output. So for that, we just need to understand the linearity between linear relationship between the variables. Linear relation between the variables, which leads to predict something. So what is your prediction? Predict the demand. So in which month you are getting demand based on the bookings, you just need to highlight. If there is a booking by this market segment, so what will be the prediction of the demand, whether it is in the demand or without demand, or is there any other understandings? So we'll just try to predict that. So whenever we have a linear regression, we'll be having a linear equation. Y is equal to mx plus c. So where y is slope of the line and c is intercept. So y-intercept. So when we know this, by varying the value of input, that is x, that is your input variable, that is independent variable. We call it as independent variable. So we can just easily calculate what is the y variable, that is dependent variable. So it is variable, it is dependent on x, the value of x. And you can also find out for a line, for a given line, you can find the slope and intercept. So whenever we talk about linear regression, we calculate the R square value. So we have a equation for that to calculate the R square, and then we'll go with calculating the Sx and Sy with the equations, and then we calculate what is the equation with the intercept. So that is m value and c value. So with this, you calculate what is the m value and c value. So then we frame a equation mx plus c, and then we'll add keep on changing the x value based on the data that we got, and then the c value, m value will be constant, and we get the y value. So that is your prediction. So we'll try to understand this, and then we'll move on. As I told you, there will be a relationship between the variables, and you need a features of that to understand the functionality, whether it is strongly correlated or moderately correlated. Let's say example, you have particular points on the line. So it gives you how strong the relation between the variables. that is x-axis and y-axis. If I increase 1 unit by x-axis, I'll be increasing 1 unit by y-axis. That is your strong relationship between x and y. So when you have your irregularity, let's say example, your points are like this. Some are very close to point and then some are on the line. So it is not strongly correlated, it is moderately related. So here also, we just need to reduce the error. What do you mean by error? So actually, you will be having some value and you are going to predict some value. So when you have these difference, you will be referring that as a error. So here we just need to reduce the error so that we can draw a particular line which is very close to all the points. Like how we have written a line, all the points are on the line. So we just need to write a line particularly where it is very closer to the line. So what we can do is we just need to understand the functionality of the features and then dependent variable, independent variable, and then we'll have the understanding of the problem with continuous and unbounded dependent variable. So whenever we have a continuous data under supervised learning model, when you already know the output, you will be divided based on the data pertaining to output. So when you already know the output, if it is categorical data, and if it is, I'm so sorry, and if it is continuous data, so then we call it as regression model. And this is your classification model because you have categories, binary, multiple, like this. When I say your output is already known because you are labeling that. And when you get that particular output already known, we just use the continuous values for regression and categorical values for classification. Same thing, you just need to use the continuous data, whereas the input, whatever input that you have, can be of both continuous and categorical data or both combination. But output should be of continuous value. Okay, so this is my criteria. You can see that regression is used to have forecasting. Most of the time, linear regression will give some accuracy, which is very accurate when compared to all other models. 90% we can trust that accuracy, what has been predicted by linear regression model. So they'll be using vast variety of applications with respect to linear regression. Now, regression is used in many fields, including economics, computer science, and social sciences. Various fields, not only with respect to scientific or data science or something like that. It is used in all the applications wherever you have variations between two variables. So then you can directly go ahead with the variables. So here we have points which are predicted. When I draw the line, it means that the points should be on that particular line. Should be on that particular line. That is our prediction. So this whole line will be our prediction. So the line itself is our prediction. So the points should be on that particular line. So what is this line equation? Y is equal to mx plus c. So whatever you find, that will be your y value. Okay, that will be your f of x. Now you have a point or the coordinates which has been given as actual points. You can see that actual points are not on the line, but it is closer to line. Now, whatever you find the distance between, let's say example, I'll just say your actual point should be here. Now your prediction point is here. Now, if you find this a distance, if you find this distance, you will get what? Error. If you find this distance, you will mean by you'll refer that as to be as error, because actually it should be here, but you are predicting it is here. Let's say example, actually 98%, according to some calculations, they will not cancel the room. Let us assume that someone has booked the room, and we'll say that because they are our previous customer, we'll predict saying that they don't cancel the room. So that is our actual prediction. But due to some reason, they have cancelled the prediction. So there will be a loss. So actually they thought that they'll not cancel that, but because of some reason they cancelled, means it will be a loss. So this loss is referred to be as error. So always you need to reduce the loss, and also you need to reduce the error. You need to optimize your loss function and error function. That is what. So you need to draw a line in such a way that it is very closer to all the points. So you will take average distance between all the points. Average of all the distance between them. Okay, so then you'll get a line equation, which is optimized line, best fit line, we call it as. Once we find the best fit line, we can just predict some values with the equation. So wherever you find slope, you will get a equation for that. So slope will be remaining same for that particular line, considering whatever the point is. You consider whatever point, the slope will remain constant. Slope remain constant. So you just need to identify that and reduce the value. Now, how do you calculate this distance? So this point has coordinate x, y. What is this point? We call it as point on the line. What is the line equation? Y is equal to mx plus c. Then mx plus c is nothing but the line, or y is equal to mx plus c is a line. Whatever the point that you have will be referred to as y. Will be referred to be as y or f of x. We call it as function of x. Hence, we calculate the distance between this y coordinate and this y value. So we call this y is equal to mx plus c as y cap. Y cap. That means it is prediction. That means it is prediction. Y is equal to y cap. Y is equal to mx plus c, the prediction. So we calculate y actual minus prediction. we get the error. So this we need to reduce. You calculate with all the distance and take the average of it and then find the predictions and you get the equation of that, and you, whenever you have a new point to this, you can predict what is the value. You need not to again understand the data. So this is the simple model which helps you to forecast and predict and understand what the future is going to tell about. So for this, you do require some of the packages like NumPy and Pandas, scikit-learn, and matplotlib.pyplot. So I'll just show you that so that you can easily understand. So here, I'm just taking what you are predicting the demand. My problem statement is you just need to predict the demand. So based on what you predict the demand, based on the customer with market segment. So here, when we analyze from different area segments, we get our bookings. Let it be offline, let it be online, let it be from different groups, and they come directly to that area and then book the room. And also corporate group market segment will also book the rooms. So we just need to predict those particular segments, from which segment you are getting most bookings. That's it. So if it is offline, what is the booking? If it is online, what is the booking? If there is a booking, you can just tell whether it is offline or online. So this relationship we can just understand from the data. So the type of the customer with market segment and its variation. And the variation correlation between average daily rate and reserved and assigned room type. So average daily rate and room type, the type of the room. Let's say example, I've told that we have blocked for one single bedroom. So two rooms, double cot, single cot, AC, non-AC, like super deluxe. Like this, you have different room varieties of segments of rooms, type of the rooms, we call it as. So they have blocked for some amount. Let's say example, for single cot room, you have 100 rupees. For double cot, you have 500. For AC, you have 700. For non-AC, you have 600. Like that, luxurious, you have 1000. So if I say they have blocked for average, that is 500, if I'm getting collected, I can predict what kind of room that they are booking. So they are booking double cot. If I'm getting an average daily rating of, let's say example, somewhere around 400. So you can say that 100 plus 600 and 1000. What is the average divided by 3? 1600, 1700. 1700 divided by 3. So 3 5s somewhere. So 500 something. So it is giving you the 500 saying that it is booked with some values with double cot. So this average daily rating depends is also having some variation or correlation between the room assigned. So it is necessary that you can understand AC and non-AC is not booked here. Okay, so these kind of relationship we can understand. So with that analysis, it is assigned room type feature and market segment. If someone is booking super deluxe or AC, non-AC, and single cot, double cot. So we just need to understand which segment they are booking. So when I book single cot, it's a direct. Those who came directly, they book the single cot. And when they are coming in groups, they'll book double cots. So booking marketing segment is groups, and we can say that it is double. So we just need to predict, okay, they are from corporate. So they'll like and they'll book AC and super deluxe. So we can just predict that. Based on the market segment, we can predict the room type. So this room type will gives you the average daily rating. So we can just fix that price, average daily rate, and we can just make them quite comfortable with that particular rate. So even the prediction is also can be done on using price. So price prediction is also matters a lot, because sometimes you'll be having seasonal and off season. So like this, they'll be having business variation strategies. Okay, so we'll just see the hands-on session now. So we'll try to understand that. Just a minute, friends. So here I'm taking a hotel industry data, which comprises of different market segments, distribution channel, assigned room type, agent, companies, waiting list, ADR, required car parking, total special request, reservation status, and so on. So with this, we need to understand what is the correlation that you have so that you can predict the demand. You can just predict the demand. So I'll just go to the code directly. You can see that we need some of the packages to use for that. So for those packages are sklearn linear model, which is having linear regression, matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, and pandas for data frame to read the data frame and data set and need to interact with data. And numpy for numerical calculations. I've told you, right? You need to calculate the distance between 2 points, actual and predict, R star value, and those values will be calculated. So now I'll read the content h1.csv using pd.read_csv and put it in raw data set. So I'll just copy that raw data set into data set. Let it be raw data set as it is. So without making any changes to the raw data set, we'll just make it as a copy. So for that, I can do with a dot copy and then make it as dot data set. So data set dot head of 10, because I'm just seeing what first few columns, first few rows. Okay, so then I'll just go with understanding what all the columns that I have. So I can just give data set name dot columns. So data set dot is na dot sum. This is my exploratory data analysis. We call it as data pre-processing. First, we need to check how many columns are there. Is a null values are there or not? How many null values are there? That will give you the values. You can see that 464 null values are there in country column. So sometimes it is not always that all the columns are required. Sometimes you don't need some of the columns. At that time, you need to drop that particular column. Don't worry about observations or the rows. Just concentrate on columns. If this particular column is needed, you retain. If not, you can just avoid it, because sometimes you'll be having serial number, ID, contact number, email ID, and some unique IDs of the person and the gender. So all these are not required. So you can just together collect, and then you can drop it. Okay. So first we need to, as a part of problem statement, so we'll go with CRISP MLQ. So what is the first step of CRISP MLQ? The first step is problem understanding or business understanding. Next is data understanding. So we know predicting the demand is my problem business understanding, and the data understanding is the hotel bookings, and we just need to do some exploratory data analysis or data pre-processing. So with the help of graphical representation or with some calculations or doing some simulations, so we can perform EDA. So that is what we are checking. Initially, we just need to understand what all the columns that you have and how many null values are in there, because these null values will impact our accuracy level, and our model will not get trained properly and the prediction will go wrong. So for that, we need to make sure that you don't have any null values. So since you don't have null values with all other columns except country, so country column you does not require. You don't need required in this calculations. Hence you can just drop it. You can drop the country. So it is not always good to understand, even if it is a null value. You just need to understand whether that column is very much required or not. If there is a requirement genuinely, you just need to concentrate on how to fill that particular null values. So only then you can go ahead and work on updating those null values. Okay, so hope you are getting it till here. Okay, fine. Now I have a column with respect to months, that is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and so on. So for that particular months, for that particular month, I just need arrival date and that particular category. Okay, so the data set of arrival date month in this column, this is my column. This is my column. In this column, you have June, July bookings, Jan bookings, December bookings. So those categories will be ordered in an orderly. So it is bifurcated. You can see that you have all these values. It will cross verify and it will categorize. So basically, I'm using pd.categorical, the data set of that particular and the categories. So two things I have to give: this column, this particular column, and this will be categorized. The values, you can see that the values in the month of June, what all things are there. In July, what all things. In Jan, what all things. So you can just get based on the month wise. That is why we are doing it. Ordering with respect to month wise. Now, we just need to also understand average daily rating with respect to market segment. I've already told you that market segment can be of offline, online, groups, on-spot, corporate. Like this, you can have different marketing segments. Okay, so based on this, what are the ADR values? I've told you, right? Based on ADR values, you'll get the market segment. So you can just predict the relationship among them. Okay, so you have also complementary. Like this, you have complementary, how much? And you are getting aggregate function, you are using count of that. Under this market segment, what are the values of ADR? So ADR market segment. So market segment is used as index and values are ADR. Okay, 201, 2309 corporate members. Direct, they have 6,513 groups, 7,000 offline, 17,000 online. So with the help of graphical representation, you can get the ADR and market segment listed. Now, you can also go with a relationship. These are all under data pre-processing. Data pre-processing or data analysis. You're just going through the data. Just going through the data. Okay. So now table dataset dot pivot table. So when I say pivot table, it will take the column and it will count the values like how we have counted with ADR, and it also selects one of the market segment column. That is your filter. Like you just take the market segment. You have 4 categories or 5 categories, and you just define the customer type and their count. So you get the count. So there are 3 things. One is counting that values of ADR with respect to market segment and respect to customer type. So using pie chart, we categorize them. So you can see that different colors here, transient, here transient, here also transient, here also transient, here also transient, here also transient. So this is a complementary group, and this is corporate group, and this is direct, and this is groups, and this is online, this is offline, and this is online. You can see that among all these market segment, you can see that the transient party and transient is more here, and here you have groups also, here you have contract basis also, and here you don't have contract basis and transparency. So like this, different varieties of relationship you can just understand. Now, again, take the distributional channel. This is one of the column and takes the same area and get the markets. You can see that complementary groups, direct groups, offline, online, and this is corporate, complementary, corporate, direct. So you'll be getting these values getting updated in pie chart. So it will be easy for analyzing. So which market segment has more distribution channel? And also you can just, these are all steps to understand the data. That's it. So country variation, you have several data that is missing for countries. But whatever you have that for that country, you can just make a note of it, because it will give you information from which country you are getting more bookings. That is also a strategy that you can make for them, those who are coming from that particular country and booking. You can make a dishes based on that particular country, so that it will attract that people, a group of people who are booking and blocking for the resort or hotel. So that is also there, country variation with respect to market segment. And coming to the next, you have variation with respect to reserved room type and the ADR. The type of the room is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and the average daily rating. For room type A, you'll be having 23,399 average daily rating. So which one has less? B has less. So like this, you can just easily understand which category is giving more revenue. So category A, that is the room type A, D, E, F, and G, they are all contributing. So if it is B, C, H, L, P, it is least bother. It's a type of room that we have categorized, and it has been used with counting the number of values. It's a count. So this will also make a huge impact on understanding the data. After that, the same thing. Now, the variation in the arrival date and the room type. So you can just again change this arrival date month, and you can just count that particular area with respect to assigned room type also. So assigned room type will be A, B, C, D, E, F, and in which month A has, it can be a type, some type belongs to A, have blocked in Jan, June, Feb. I just need to understand this room type has been blocked in Jan, June, and Feb. So this D has blocked in April and May. So this F is blocked, the room type is blocked in more in August, September. Like this, you can just easily understand. So we do require date, month, assigned type, and then the count. So you can see that I've made a assigned room type A, B, C, D, F, until P, and date, month here, and their count. So when I take January, the room type bookings are 768 average daily rating. Okay, so this is what is all about, and you can plot the same. So that will give you more idea or understandings that the blue line is all about giving you more weightage. The room type A is significance. So now in this, again, I'll just say take the market segment, and the date and their count. So earlier I've taken room type. So now I'm taking market segment. So I plot the same. Now you take both. So when you take arrival date month, you are counting that with respect to ADR, considering both the categories, that is room type as well as market segment. So how do you get this? So when I say so I'll be getting the values with respect to assigned room type and market segment. So now the correlation matrix. So I'll just make use of this. I can make use of that. Okay, let me connect this. So let me so it is all just already run. So I'm just using that. So you can see that room type with ADR and then running with the same. And this is a date variation with market segment and arrival date variation with room type and market segment. So you have two things. One is market segment. Under A, you have complementary, corporate, direct, groups, offline, online. So which is the more? Even room type A is booked online in January. That is the meaning. The room type B in January, you have corporate, only one. So that is the meaning. So you have a broad things which is having relationship between two or more variables, that is features. Okay. So now after getting this, we just need to understand the correlation between the values. So you can see that you are getting 25 by 25. It is big so that you can easily understand. So what you understand from this is we get the values here from this 0. So wherever you have a dark blue color, it is all about 0 and negative. So from 0, it will increase and it will go till positive, that is 1, 0 to 1. Okay. So you have a white color or creamish, which is having the relationship between themselves. But whenever you have a relationship between this color, that is creamish or white color, you can see that you are getting 72 and here also 72. That means stays in weeknights, stays in weekend nights. So having strong correlation between them. So that relation you can understand from this. So you can also understand that total special request having strong correlation between ADR. And here also, children is strongly correlated with ADR. So ADR is already associated with total special request. So like this, you can analyze that from with the help of heat map. So with the help of heat map, we are going to understand the correlation between variables. So next, continuing with that, we just need to understand the assigned room type and market segment by considering only two, because one is dependent and one is independent. So here I'm taking the assigned room type as independent and market segment as dependent. So when we allocate that, when we go through that, you will be having these kind of complementary or dependencies or correlation. Okay. For allocated assigned room and market segment. Now, when we plot the same, you will be getting the values like this. Okay. So it is not giving me a good clarity. So for that, what I can see is I can just make that as a couple with a complement, a group. And like that, you can have a room type and then category and then the market segment. So you can easily understand a type of the room is A, and with the complementary, you can predict the number of bookings in the month. So which is having more when you have a category A, and if it is a complementary, then there is more booking in the month of March. So the demand will be predicted in the month of March. So you can arrange yourself and make your own strategy for the month of March. So the data is giving you the details saying that in the month of March, you will be booking most A type, that is room type of A. So that is the thing. And you can also understand the arrival date year in 2016. So this is all about with month. In 2016, what is the strategy? In 2015, what is the strategy? Because you need to understand the past history as well, and then need to get the values. So same thing, when you understand, you can see that arrival date month, January 0, like this, you will be having categories. So when I say December, you have more complementaries, that is 6. So when you make the regression analysis with respect to month and validation, so then you can just easily understand you'll be getting December as 6 more. Okay. So when you predict, you will be getting same thing. So regression dot filling the zeros, filling the null values as 0, and you are reshaping that. You are getting the values into the arrays or series. So once you get that particular arrays or series, you can just go back and then check which is having highest number of repetitions or more number of bookings. type of bookings. Okay, so when you fit that particular value, you can just predict that the 6, which is, you can just see here, it is December. So it will give you the number of counts in that particular arrival date month. It is going to predict that suitable for some bookings, which is going to give the prediction. Okay. So this is all about regression analysis, which is giving you the model, which is saying you in which month or in which date, when you give the values like this, when you give the values, it is going to understand the values that you have given is of room type, and it is going to give with respect to the arrival date month, and it is going to cross verify that arrival date month having 6 and the values respect to that, and it is going to predict which month it is having more number of bookings. So this is all about regression analysis. So any doubt, friends? So if you have any doubts, you can just mention in the chat box. Okay, so there is no questions. So we can wind up. So we'll meet tomorrow in the session. We'll discuss how decision tree is going to help us. Thank you all. Have a nice time.